The plasma pistol, a weapon seen in every Halo game, and even most extended media and comics surrounding the Halo universe. A favourite sidearm used by the Covenant, seen wielded mainly by the Grunts. But out of all the variants, from CE all the way up to Infinite, which is the best? From damage to accuracy, fire rate to range, my team and I put all the models to the test. So let's dive in to the plasma pistol tier list. From its earliest days, the plasma pistol was one of a kind. Having two methods of firing, it became a staple to the Halo multiplayer sandbox, as well as at times an extremely effective tool in neutralising the enemy. Used mainly by grunts in the campaign, this pistol could make those simple and easy foes actually rather troublesome and deadly. Watching those aliens fire green bolts of plasma was way more interesting than a conventional firearm, and equipping it for the first time became a more memorable moment for the newcomers of the series. Being able to charge its barrel to create a green aura that lit up the room, only to then release the trigger and decimate an elite shield. It became almost a necessity depending on the situation you would find yourself in, but throughout the games, just how much have they changed over the years? And which one is the most effective when it comes down to a battle? However, before we continue with the video, I want to play a little game. Leave a comment on what you think is going to be the top S tier plasma pistol, and let's see if you get the right answer at the end. Alright, let's start with what I think should be an F tier. Halo 4's Type 25 plasma pistol is by far the most disappointing out of the bunch. Its range from point blank all the way up to 100 meters is consistent at just 4 shots to kill shields, but its damage after that is lacking. Taking 8 bolts to kill is certainly not the worst in terms of damage, but it becomes difficult to pull off a kill due to its low fire rate and high spread and recoil. Your best option with this variant would be a close quarters engagement, but since Halo 4's sandbox has plenty to counter the plasma pistol, it just feels redundant. Its magazine size or battery is the worst out of all the plasma pistols. It uses a massive 2% of its battery when you fire just a single bolt, and a staggering 20% for an overcharge shot. It's the most inefficient when it comes to a ground engagement. It leaves me feeling like it's just missing something. Halo 4's plasma pistol just seems to have been ignored and abused in its development. It just doesn't seem to have many pros. Even its classic sound design was completely changed, leaving some fans feeling kind of disgusted by it. The only thing really going for it is its EMP capabilities, which isn't a massive feat considering most other variants do that anyway. Using it in either campaign or in multiplayer battle would feel pointless, unless for the exact reason of disabling enemy vehicles, or the noob combo, but other than that, it's just not worth it. And that's why the Halo 4's plasma pistol is firmly placed in F tier. Alright, the next is going to shock you a little, but after repeated tests, it makes complete sense, and that is both Halo 2 and 3's plasma pistol. Yep, I know, but hear me out. The reason they're both here is because they both do the exact same in terms of range, damage, fire rate, magazine size, and accuracy. The range on the Halo 2 to 3's Type 25 is worse than Halo 4's, coming in at 7 shots to take a shield at all ranges. It has consistency and no drop off damage, but that's not what brings it down here. It's the damage. Halo 4's plasma pistol was 8 bolts for a kill after shields. Guess how many bolts it takes for this one?
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20,
19. And with a mediocre fire rate that is close to unusable unless combined with its BR. Its best hope would be dual wielding, which Bungie definitely took into consideration at the time due to its low damage, but it gets worse. Go ahead and guess how many overcharge shots it takes to kill. Yeah, I'll give you a hint.
Right, ready?
Yep.
1,
2,
2, 3,
3,
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, okay, don't bother. Just literally write the words, don't bother.
It literally doesn't work.
Unless you had a whole team using overcharges, one of you might finally get a kill. Other than that, don't bother. All the bad stuff aside though, it's above Halo 4's for a reason. Its battery uses 1% per 2 bolts, making it 200 shots per battery, a much bigger improvement from its Halo 4 counterpart. And it's got a far tighter spread with Halo 2 to 3's no recoil gameplay, making it a more accurate PP. But deep down, its combat effectiveness is close to non-existent and barely scrapes above Halo 4's. Alright, now we move into the D tier. So from here on out it gets a bit better, but still nothing too great. And here we're going to throw in what I imagine a lot of people have been waiting for, the Halo Infinite plasma pistol. Known in the lore as the Type 54 plasma pistol, or T54PP for short, its stats are unsurprisingly dull. However, I just want to quickly note that at this time Halo Infinite is in its Season 1 stage and still has plenty of updates to come that could later either buff or nerf the weapon, so just take this vote with a bit of salt for the time being. So anyway, the range. The range in the T54 is like the rest so far, consistent, with a standard of 7 shots at all ranges to kill shields, the exact same as the Type 25 from Halo 2 to 3. Its damage is also fairly similar with a kill rate of 15 bolts after shields. A slight improvement from its previous variant, but its charge however is much more efficient, with a kill rate of 2 overcharge shots per kill after shield depletion. It's certainly an improvement, but it's still in D tier for a reason. Unlike the T25, Halo Infinite's T54 isn't EMP capable, meaning you can't disable enemy vehicles. And another con to this pistol is that the battery is less efficient than Halo 2 to 3's PP. With a 1% per bolt battery life, this means that it has a maximum capacity of 100 bolts, and its overcharge shots use up to 17%, 2 more percent than just the classic plasma pistol. The amount of bolts that can be emitted from the T54 is only slightly quicker than the T25, but its accuracy has a slightly larger spread, making it more difficult to hit targets at range. But using an overcharge shot, its tracking should be able to help intercept whatever your target may be. Even though 343 didn't make it the most balanced out of the Halo's multiplayer sandbox, it's still usable for the campaign, and its design is actually not a bad thing to look at, from my perspective anyway. This is by far the definition of a D tier weapon for a tier list. Next we have the C tier, where everything starts to seem just a little bit brighter, and we're gonna throw in one that I only wished I could have put higher. The Halo Reach variant of the Type 25 plasma pistol. Yeah, this one stings a little, because back when the game first came out, every weapon just felt more gritty and powerful, and the plasma pistol finally felt like it had some kind of kick to it. And at the time it did, because after Halo 3 it was a much needed improvement, but it's at C for a reason. It's the most middle grounded PP out of all on this list, just due to the fact of how good the other variants are, but let's go through its stats and discuss why it's placed here. Its range is, again, consistent at all ranges with a max of just 4 shots to take down shields, and its damage is just 6 bolts to kill once shields are depleted, with only 2 overcharge shots to kill as well. Its accuracy is better than Halo 4's, but worse than Halo 2 to freeze, having a slightly more spread and recoil. Its fire rate, however, is on the same level as Halo 2 to freeze, making it far more lethal than the classics, once you take into consideration the 6 bolts to kill damage, unlike the 19 the previous edition would take. And finally, it is of course EMP capable, becoming an extremely effective tool in hijacking or destroying enemy vehicles. It's just an all-around very solid, very average plasma pistol, and as a classic art and sound design, only slightly revamped to fit with the times of the Xbox 360. Now with Halo Reaches out of the way, I do actually have another for the C tier, and that is the Halo Infinite's Unbound variant. Now this one was actually rather difficult to gather details because it's only in the campaign, so hard to do when there's no co-op. But from what I can deduce so far is that the damage seems to be improved by maybe 50% from the standard counterpart. The only immediate differences are the reticle size being slightly bigger in the Unbound variant, and that it has more spread. Also, a standard bolt travels slower on the Unbound, but an overcharged shot travels much faster than a normal Type 54. Very strange. The plasma bolt is clearly bigger aesthetically, showing its increase in damage, and its range is roughly the same as the standard model. The reason I put it at C is because it's definitely better than its original counterpart, but it just kinda seems like having Halo Reach's T25 in Infinite, so putting them both here just kinda sits well with me. Alright, B tier. This is where we get to the more viable options in terms of actual combat, and we're gonna only put one in this slot, and that is the Halo 5's Type 54 plasma pistol. The Halo 5 PP went through a massive change in design when Halo 5 was under development. The art and sound design had a drastic change, and some debate on whether the classic version looked better or worse. Personally, I myself prefer the classics, and looking at the Halo 5 variant never filled me with joy. It almost seemed like they tried to give the weapon a face, and it was always rather distracting to me picking it up. But besides all the aesthetics, just how decent is the Halo 5 T54, and does it hold up for being in the B tier? Well, let's start with its range. It's another consistent killer with just 2 shots to kill shields, whether that be from point blank or down a mountainside. Halo 5's ADS system made the spread of the weapon become far more accurate, being able to shoot consistent beams across maps. Although some validify 343's actions on the ADS decision, it definitely improved the quality of the plasma pistol though. Its damage is on the lethal side, with only 5 bolts to kill after shield depletion and 4 overcharges. It also has the EMP capabilities, a vital tool for a plasma pistol. Not only that, but its overcharge tracking system is the most capable, being an extremely accurate way of intercepting those pesky wasps and banshees. Its tracking system is by far the most magnetive out of the whole plasma pistol range. The battery size on the Halo 5 plasma pistol is in fact the same as the Halo Reach's T25, making it rather efficient. The only downside to this PP is its fire rate, being one of the slowest of the bunch with Halo 4's delayed system. This plasma pistol is definitely worthy of a B tier. Getting very close to the top now, we have the A tier, the kind of weapons that are some of the best, but could always have something that could make them just a little bit better. And for this tier again, we have only one on, and that is the Halo 5's Spitfire variant. The Spitfire is certainly a fresh change from most plasma pistols, and not only does it have a fresh coat of paint, it also does more than what you'd expect from a standard model. If you like consistency and accuracy in your plasma pistol, this isn't the PP for you. The Spitfire has a very wide spread with its multiple shot bolt system. It's essentially a shotgun plasma pistol. However, the Halo 5 ADS system does certainly tighten up that spread. Each individual shot might be slightly weaker than the standard T-54, but hitting a target with all emitted bolts can be extremely effective. Its damage can take enemy shielding with just 2 shots, and depending on your skill will still be 2 shots even at range. Once shielding has been melted away, it only takes 4 shots to neutralise your intended target, or 3 overcharge shots. The most impressive feature, however, is the battery. When attempting overcharge, it takes a fraction of the time a standard model would, making it much quicker for EMPing an enemy vehicle. It's also 1% per shot as standard, with 15% for an overcharge. Its fire rate is also improved, only slightly. This variant is definitely a viable option for the more run and gun types out there. The Spitfire is a great new piece of weaponry added to Halo 5 Sandbox, and I can only hope that we'll see it again in Halo Infinite. So, finally we move on to the S tier. The tier that only holds the impeccable and most destructive and well-made weapons of them all. And we begin with yet another T-54 variant from Halo 5. That's right, it's the Void's Tear or Tier. The Void's Tier variant is, in my eyes, one of the most creative PPs out there by having the most unique and interesting features. Let's start with its stats. The range is just like the rest, with no drop off damage and staying very consistent, being able to topple shielding with only 2 shots. When it comes down to its accuracy, it does have the most spread, but having enough skill to use the pistol can make this weapon more than dangerous. Its damage is on another level, with 5 shots to kill with a down shield, and just 1 overcharge shot, and that's with or without shielding. The overcharge shot not only dissolves the shielding, but creates a black hole of sorts that begins to suck everything up around it, including the enemy, killing them in the process. Its fire rate may be the same as the original model, but its battery isn't. Each shot may take 2%, but when holding an overcharge, the battery doesn't deplete, making it extremely effective when trying to aim at just the right angle. But once released, the overcharge does 17% of the battery. Small price to pay, however, for such a lethal little weapon. It's by far the most unique in design, and its black hole overcharge can be tons of fun using it in the right places. You can even launch weapons and vehicles out of the way if used just right. It's by far one of the most fun plasma pistols that can be used. So, you made it to the end. The final model. Did you guess what it was? It's the classic, the All Reliable. And by far one of the best melee animated ones. It is of course Halo CE's Type 25. The reason I put this at the top isn't just because of nostalgia, but actually because of just how well made Bungie made this thing back in the day. And what I mean by that is how advanced its physics was. Its range actually varied, and each plasma bolt would do different amounts of damage depending on how far away you were from your target. Here's just a list of its statistics that Dashie and I managed to make note of. Not only that, but its bolts actually had bullet drop, something not really seen until the likes of the Battlefield franchise. And out of all the plasma pistols, it is by far the most efficient. Its bat rate was enormous, with a whopping 5 bolts per percent, making it 500 bolts per battery. But what's even better is its damage, taking only 8 bolts to down an enemy once shields are gone, and only 2 overcharge shots. But where it truly shines is its fire rate, being able to emit bolts as fast as you can pull the trigger, making it an absolute melt machine. Even the accuracy is tight with barely any spread. This plasma pistol is by far the best of its kind in all ways possible. and that's why it makes it at the top of this list. So there you have it, the Halo C Type 25 plasma pistol is, in my personal choice, the best. And before people start disagreeing with me in the comments, that's absolutely fine, because everybody has their opinions. This is not an official tier list, so please be civil in the comments. But I want to know what you think is the best, and why. Did I make any wrong decisions? Well, if you want to give it a go yourself, I have a link for the website in the description so you can try it out yourself. And when you're done, visit me on the Reclaim the Gaming Discord server and post your tier list there so we can discuss your preferred choices. Is there any other Halo tier list you'd want me to rate? Make sure to leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments, and maybe we might just make another one. Now before I go, I want to give a shout out to my beautiful patrons, which are Corporal Hot Rockets and Verinith. Alright, that's it for now. Peace.